it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make these super cute tiny tassel hoop earrings. These are a fun and really easy little project. You can use some hoops that you may already have on hand also if you want to add a little something to them. They don't take very long to make, and I use things that I had on hand already. So let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. You're going to need some embroidery floss. Now I did like a sort of coordinated ombre. I did like a dark teal, some aqua, some lighter aqua, and some white, and it sort of matched and made like an ombre. You can really use any embroidery floss you like, but if you notice, I used 4 colors for mine and they sort of blend together. You can do that, or you can kind of mix it up. I usually use the DMC cotton floss. It's super duper cheap. In fact, I think I paid maybe 20 or 30 cents for each one of these. And they come in a billion colors at the craft store or some of the department stores. And you could do a rainbow, you could do ombre, you could do all kinds of things. You could just do a solid color if you like. But you'll just need a couple of skeins of this. I just used a little bit from each color for each one of these tassels of mine. Okay, so just grab your favorite colors of embroidery floss, and you'll also, last but not least, you'll need some hoops. Now these were ready-made hoops. I did not have to assemble them, but you can do the separate ear wire and the hoop and kind of put it together yourself, or you could take a pair of existing hoops that you have and sort of upcycle them. So it's really up to you what you have on hand. I like those projects where you just kind of dig around and use things that you already have. So you can upcycle some hoops, or you could kind of construct your own with some jewelry supplies that you may have on hand as well. So let's get started. One more thing that's totally optional is some clear glue if you have it on hand. This works really well. I'm going to show you later on in the video, but you can sort of paint it onto the back with your finger, and it sort of stiffens everything and keeps all these little strands in place, and it really helps when you're wearing them and your hair is moving around and the wind's blowing to sort of keep everything in place. And over time, if you find that the tassels sort of get messy, you can always touch it back up again. But totally optional, totally up to you, but some clear glue is super helpful as well. Or any glue that dries clear, rather. It doesn't have to be clear now, but any glue that dries clear is a nice way to stiffen up the backs of these. We're going to begin by kind of prepping what we're doing here. So I'm going to grab these earrings and just kind of lay them out. I am going to do 2 colors of each of these colors per earring. So I'm going to do 2 of the dark, 2 of the next color, 2 of the lighter color, and 2 of the white on each earring, okay? Now, each of these tassels is very, very easy to make. What you'll need to do is, for each tassel you make, is grab a piece of the embroidery floss and pull it out a little bit. And let me just zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. This is, let's see, I'm pulling about a 6-inch piece or so. So cut, pull another 6-inch piece, and cut. Remember, 2 per earring, so I'm going to cut a total of 4. Okay, so that was 1, 2, this is 3, and 4. Okay, next we're going to make our little tassels. So what we need to do is grab one of the earrings. We can kind of slide these over and grab them as needed. Okay, to make our tassel, what we're going to do is take some of the embroidery floss, and we're going to go around 3 fingers, okay? So just hold 3 of your fingers out and kind of like anchor it with your thumb and go, remember this tail is pointing down, and go around once, 2, 3 times, and make sure that tail is pointing downward again, okay? Grab your earring. So we went around 3 times. And then what we're going to do is lay the floss down, lay our earring down in the middle here, like this. And then we're going to fold it over. I'm starting with the dark and I'm going to work my way around. But we're going to fold these loops over, and it's very small. It can be a little bit fiddly, like that. And then what we're going to do, holding that with your hand, lay this piece down. And we're going to kind of lift it up and drop it down on here, okay? Then, I'm still holding this in place. You have to use like multiple fingers for this project. Then what we're going to do when everything's situated is go ahead and tie it And if you need to straighten things out a bit, that's okay. If something looks a little loose, go ahead and pull it down. Slide your knot up as close as you can to that earring. And we're going to just tie it down and tie it down, okay? Just like that. Okay? Next, what we're going to do is sort of slide it out of the way, and we're going to do this again, okay? So pull a little bit of embroidery floss out, and we're going to do one more together. So let it hang down, and remember we're going around all 3 fingers. So you're going to go 1, 2, and 3, and then let that hang down. Carefully slip this out of your fingers. Grab your earring. Now it looks kind of goofy right now, but we're going to be fixing everything up. We're going to trim everything and kind of straighten everything out at the end, okay? So we're just kind of assembling it right now. Put this up under your earring and fold it in half, just like that. Now get everything straightened out, and you can kind of slide this one out of the way if you need to. That's totally fine. It's already tied on there, so it's not going to go anywhere. Lay this down like that, your little bundle. Oops, let me just slide up a little bit so you can see better. Okay, we're going to lay our little bundle down on top of our piece that we cut, and then we're going to tie it down. We're going to get a nice strong knot in there, and so everything will stay put. Now, before you tie it again and knot it permanently, just kind of straighten things out if needed. But go ahead and tie a knot in that, and then you're ready to go, okay? So keep these 2 aside for your other earring. We'll slide that other earring out of the way. Now let's do another color. Now I'm going to just get the second color of I have them laid out in order. So what we're going to do is cut our pieces of embroidery floss. Remember we did about 6 inches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now we're going to put those aside. Let's do one more of these together just so you can see the color difference. And then we're going to kind of work on our own and add the gradient to our earring, okay? So again, 3 fingers, let that tail hang down, wrap 1, 2, 3, and let that tail hang down. Then we're going to, remember, carefully slip it out of our hands, lay the earring down, fold it ever so carefully over, get your bundle nice and neat. And then grab one of your strands that you pre-cut. It's really helpful to cut these ahead of time so you're not like holding this down and trying to cut at the same time. And we're just going to lay that down on top of our little strand here, and then you're going to tie it once. Tie it down once, and it's never as tight or neat looking as I want it to look. So you just kind of slide that up, tie it down, and then go ahead and tie it down again, okay? So just like that. We're starting to get our little gradient pattern here. Now again, it's gonna look kind of messy. We haven't cut anything yet, but what we're gonna do now on our own is go ahead and add the rest of your little tassels. So we're gonna add one more of this color, then we're gonna move on to the lighter colors, and then repeat for the other earring. When we come back, I'm gonna show you how to deal with these tassel ends that are sort of like sticking up every which way, and we're going to kind of give these a little haircut, okay? So go ahead and add your other tassels to your earrings, and then we'll rejoin in just a bit and finish them up. So we've added all of our tassels, and you can kind of see what the front is going to look like. Now I didn't mention this before, and I should have, but the way it hangs on your ear, so this would be kind of the front of the earring. See how it hangs with the hook going backward? This you want to be the front, so you want your tassels, or your your tassels rather, to kind of have a front and back. So where you tied them is going to be the back. If you put them on backwards, no worries. A lot of these you can bend open and just flip it around. Okay, so let's grab our scissors now, and what we're going to do is give this a little haircut. All right, so kind of want to separate one of them, And what we're going to do is cut all of these loops. Okay, so we just want them to hang down straight. We don't want any loops on our tassels here. Okay, and then some of these really long ones you can also kind of trim to get out of the way. We're going to really kind of trim this up for real in a minute, but we just want to kind of just give it sort of a rough trim for now. Okay, so we're just cutting all these little loops out and getting some of these long pieces out of the way. And you just want to cut those loops, get those long pieces. I'm using my my embroidery scissors, but if you have a big pair of scissors, that's okay too. But these have a really nice sharp little point on them. As you can see, it looks a little wild right now, but we're going to fix all that. So just get all those loops out of the way and get all those long pieces trimmed up. Okay, clear everything kind of out of the way so you can see what you have left. Okay, I have just a few more loops here and a few more back here. And oops, there's some there too. I missed a whole bunch. Okay, get those loops, all those little loops out of there. Okay, so as you can see, it looks a little wild, but we're gonna bring this earring under control. Okay, so what you want to do next is sort of like straighten everything out. You can sort of comb it with your fingers, but you want to sort of like get them more downward facing like that. Okay, we're just kind of like smoothing them down with our hands. Okay, so now what you can do is grab your big scissors, and as you can see, these little knots are in the back. I'm going to show you a trick. If you have one that's really unruly, you can fix it. I'm going to grab my big scissors for this one just to make sure I get a nice clean cut. But what you want to do, now you can always take some off, but you can't add more on. So go slow and sort of like inch your way up, okay? Don't take it all off on the first pass, okay? So what you're going to do is just sort of, and also you want to sort of comb it out a little bit as you go, just because, see how they sort of bend up, and you don't want that to it'll give you long pieces if they're not all straightened out, okay? So we're just going to sort of just kind of nip a little bit off at a time until everything is looking the way we want it to look. You don't want to go too far too fast, okay? Again, stopping to comb is needed. You might need to kind of separate some of those tassels temporarily just to get it the way you want it to look. Okay, and we're just taking a little bit off at a time, just here and there. Okay, you can see how tiny my crumbs are down here. But once you get it the way you want it, you can kind of straighten things out. Now, I was going to mention too, if you have a little strand, when you tied your knots in the back that was a little bit unruly, what you can do is grab your tapestry needle. Can you see that one sticking out there? I'm not crazy about that. So flip it back over, and if you have, see how these are kind of wild looking? If you have some stuff that's a little bit crazy looking, you can, of course, straighten it out, give it a snip. Also, you can thread it with a tapestry needle, and what you can do is put the tapestry needle in first, come up under that knot. Okay, see how I put it through first? It's much, much easier if you do it that way. And then take that strand that was giving you problems and just then thread your tapestry needle. And then you can just pull it on through and it'll sort of tuck it into place, okay? Now you have it, it's a little bit long now, so you might need to kind of like go back and forth a few times, straightening things out, combing things down until your earring looks how you want it to look, okay? So this is kind of, whoops, we have these two up here that we need to take care of. The other thing I wanted to mention also is if you have some glue or some hot glue on hand, what you can do is, I have a little bit here and I'll show you. Now remember, our project has like a definite front and back. So what we can do is get it all straightened out exactly how we want it to look. And then it's really easy. All you have to do, you could use the white school glue. Mine happens to be clear. Hot glue might be a little bit harder to control, but what you can do is flip this over and then put a little bit of glue on your finger. Just put like the tiniest dab, okay? If you want to use a brush instead, that's fine, but I have a lot more control with this. And then you can take your finger and just kind of brush it on there, okay? Just kind of brushing it onto the back. And what that's going to do is kind of stiffen things and hold everything in place. All these little strands, because as you wear them, what will happen is they'll move around and start to separate, okay? So just take your finger and just brush a little bit of glue on the back of these strands. And before it dries, now you're going to let it dry on this side, but before it dries, just pick it up and look at it, because it's going to dry however you leave it. So this is the time to get everything under control, get everything smoothed out. If you have any other little pieces sticking up, you can trim those off. Okay, so flip it over upside down and let it dry. And then while that's drying, you can work on your second earring. Okay. So I went ahead and made the second earring, and when you're doing this, just make sure you kind of lay them on top of one another to make sure that all of your tassels are going to be the same length and that they match. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.